I can't let you back in because it would disturb the audience. A friend of mine went to a theater performance and got seats in the second row. Just as the show properly began, he had a sudden coughing fit. Try as he might, he couldn't suppress the coughs that kept coming non-stop. He was utterly embarrassed to be disturbing the show for everyone else. So he got up and moved to the aisle as quickly as he could, and swiftly made for the exit. It was at the exit that he was stopped by theater staff. "Sir, if you leave the theater now, we can't let you back in. The show has started, but I'm having a coughing fit and I'm disturbing everyone in this theater. Let me out so I can have unrestrained coughs to get it over with, and please let me back in. It would only take a minute." "I'm sorry, sir. Once you exit, I can't let you back in." What's the reasoning behind that rule? Quote, "We don't want movements in and out of the theater to disturb the audience." After more pointless pleading, my friend gave up and decided to walk back down the aisle, distract the audience along his row as he clambered back to his seat, and continued to cough non-stop for a significant portion of the show, ruining it for dozens of people. Typically, a courteous theater usher will allow you to re-enter, but have you remain at the rear of the theater until intermission to avoid the distraction caused by people returning to their seats, particularly towards the front of the theater or away from the aisles. It is indeed disruptive for live theater. It's a long time rule. https://www.youtube.com/watch v = FFAL60CTJNC. I think it is so stupid how they don't open the door for that reason. Once my mum desperately needed to go, bowel problems, and they said they can't let her out. She was like, "I will shit on the floor if you don't let me out." She got out and back in no problems. Do people ever really notice the door open and closing that much anyway? They turn their heads for a second, see there's nothing there, and put their eyes back on the stage. The malicious compliance isn't your friend. It's the usher maliciously following the rules. He knows it would have been better to allow the patron to leave. He was following the rules given to him. I've worked in these types of venues. The performers can have certain requests in place to reduce interruptions, distractions. Common sense here would have been to allow your friend out, but would have had to wait until the interval before being allowed back to their seat. Having worked back of house, front of house, in the house, on the stage, in the rafters, from a recluse box seat, you get it. There are dozens of reasons for what the usher did. Depending on the show, the movement of audience members need to be monitored and sometimes literally ushered in one direction or another. Safety and insurance is a big one. Liability costs in old theaters is a nightmare. Performers in aisles, light cues, strobes. Any number of reasons could be dangerous if you don't know the show. The ushers do, and they are being told specific rules along with timing for letting patrons in and out. It's very unusual the patron would have not been allowed back in at all. Or perhaps thought they meant the whole show, not the first act. This is a very hearsay post. On the other hand, I have dealt with and reprimanded ushers on power trips. A patron of the arts tip asked the ushers if there is a break in the show for an emergency leave and be allowed back in. I did it multiple times when I saw theater while pregnant. It's always good to know. I was once the person on stage that had a coughing fit during a pivotal scene. I definitely couldn't leave. I suppressed as much as I could, has hid behind some of the other ensemble. It's not uncommon for them to not allow seating during a performance. You just wait for intermission. Quite a conversation he managed to have during a coughing fit. Of course, the third option being, go out and don't come back in, thereby not disturbing anyone. Wrong sub, but esh. I'm a theater director and I can tell you coughs are a lot less distracting than someone coming in. During a performance, I never allow latecomers in until the intermission. Although if there's enough room at the back they may stand and watch until then. Otherwise, watch on the TV in the foyer and leave a bit earlier for the theater next time. People were allowed late into Barry Humphries' shows only so that he could make merciless fun of them for the whole first half. Why didn't your friend just leave? He coughed through most of the show anyway. Just leave. This isn't malicious compliance. This is your friend being a jerk. Reminds me of one test in college. I asked to go to the bathroom when I was coughing but was told no by the TA. So I hacked my lungs out to the annoyance of the class. Professor was not happy with his TA, who in turn tried to lecture me. Thankfully that TA wasn't mine and so couldn't directly influence my grade. I used to work front of house at a performing arts center that brought in touring shows. In such theaters, the FOH staff is required to follow whatever rules the touring company sets down. The ushers don't have any discretion to make what may seem like reasonable allowances. It's unfortunate. We once had a very famous dance company in for one show only and they said absolutely no late seating. So if someone came late, they couldn't enter the theater until intermission. And if they weren't in their seats after intermission they weren't allowed in. And of course, I had about 10 people show up late on my terrace. They had to wait, and they were terribly unhappy. We did have monitors outside so they could watch. Though, I let them move the terrace furniture so they could sit and watch the monitors. Yeah, that's not malicious compliance. That's being a dick to hundreds of other people who paid for their seats. Did he make you tie your shoe and fix your tie first? So, to get back at the usher who has no authority over policy and doesn't want to get fired, your friend decided to ruin the show for everyone? Good friend right there. That's not malicious compliance. That's your friend being a jerk and not leaving the theater when he should have. Not actually compliance. He should have just left then instead of going back and selfishly ruining the show for everyone else who also paid to see it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.